Initially, I wanted to skip this week's video because I was very busy and had absolutely no time to record or edit anything. But then I felt the urge to explore one of the characters that live in the world that I'm building, and I decided to record that process and show it to you. If you want to know more about that, I would really recommend you to check out the portfolio project videos on my channel, and also check out my Instagram because I will post the stuff that I'm doing over there in real time, and also some more additional sketches that you wouldn't see otherwise. Quick little disclaimer, I am kind of sick, so please ignore my voice cracks. Thank you. This character is also part of a side story in that world, and fun fact, she is based on me. And because I kinda hit a small little milestone with the 1000 subscribers on this channel, I thought I would share some things about me. I don't usually talk about myself that much, so I hope this won't be awkward. And initially I recorded a Meet the Artist video, but that didn't feel like me at all. So I changed things up and I decided to go for this character because she's partly me. Also, while I was recording the Meet the Artist video, my gold pen decided to explode on me and left some weird looking stains on my desk. I tried to get them off, but well, you can still see them. Also, I'm sorry for the reflections of the light on the pencil later in the video. I just messed up with the setup of the lights, so I'm sorry. But before introducing myself, let's talk a little bit about the spread. Oh boy, this was a ton of work. I actually really needed to take a break because I've been traveling for almost 2 weeks straight, and I met so many amazing people, but even though they were very nice, I'm still very drained from that, and that really showed through in my first sketch. I then tried to calm myself down with the next sketch that I'm still not too fond of, but I got at least warmed up. And then I decided to draw a simple pose of my pirate girl. I still wanted to explore how I wanted her to look like, and at that point I really thought about giving up on the spread. But at the end the sketch turned out better than I expected, so I kind of felt relieved and I decided to continue. And on days like this, I always think that nothing can get worse, right? So sometimes I like to challenge myself a little bit, and I wanted to take on a challenge. But having the camera hovering above my paper made me feel a little bit more pressured and also insecure than I would have felt without the camera on top of my head. But I still tried to draw a more difficult pose from imagination and use reference only when I really needed it, and I ended up only using a reference on her left hand. You will later see that there are some issues with her legs, but I'm still very happy that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, even though I really didn't feel like doing that. As I mentioned many times in my other sketchbook videos, I just love pirates. I love the concept of being free on the sea and also the whole aesthetic behind it. The clothes, the accessories, the weapons, the ship, everything about it. So obviously, I had to make the character that is based on me a pirate girl. Obviously. She also likes to read books just like me because I love reading. And after drawing, I probably spent the most time reading books. I mostly read fantasy books, but lately I'm trying to dip my toe into non-fiction books to stay educated. And I remember when I was going to school, I stopped drawing for quite a long time because I read one book after the other, and I also finished one book within a day. Sometimes I still struggle to put a book away and then end up reading it in one session, which is probably not healthy, but it's so much fun, so I actually don't regret anything. Another thing that I love to do is watching movies, TV shows, or anime. And I remember when I was younger, my father was very picky about the shows that I was allowed to watch, and I was only allowed to watch a handful of cartoons, but he allowed me to watch almost every anime, which is kind of funny and doesn't make any sense. I still remember him watching Inuyasha and Ranma while I was still younger than 4 years old and sitting next to him. And I need to admit, some of the Detective Conan episodes that I watched when I was way too young haunted me for quite some time, especially the one where it was about the Black Widow. I don't remember the episode, but I know that there was something about a Black Widow. He also introduced me to One Piece, which basically followed me throughout my entire life. And I'm not reading the manga though, only watching the anime. And I also like to wait for the arcs to be finished and then binge watch them with my boyfriend. So I think we are at the Wano arc somewhere halfway through, but I decided to take a break and wait for it to be done before watching it. Also, One Piece played a huge role in my artistic journey, and that is something that not everybody knows. Because my dad let me choose the coolest One Piece pictures online when I was around 9 years old, and then printed them out for me so that I could trace them and practice drawing. I still have those printed One Piece pictures somewhere in my room, because I think that's such a nice memory to have. There was also a second time in my life where I didn't draw quite as much as I do now, because I focused too much on playing video games. Video games have always played a huge role in my life, and some of my dearest memories are those where I played video games with my older brother for hours. On summer break, we sometimes spent weeks playing Pokemon or The Legend of Zelda next to each other, or we played the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon card game. When I got older, I started to play online games, and I got really into Counter-Strike, and even though I was never good at it, I enjoyed playing it with my online and also real-life friends a lot. I also tried to play MMORPGs, but except for one time, I always had to play on my own, so I gave up on those at one point. But I'm still hoping to find someone who's willing to play a MMO with me at some point. But lately, I don't have the time to play that many video games, and the only game that I'm playing is, please don't judge me, League of Legends. When I'm not in an ARAM, I'm probably in a normal game with my main Cho'Gath, and I won't discuss this, but he's the best champ out there. He's just so adorable, and I just really like his design. And the best skin in the game is the Gentleman Cho'Gath skin. Drawing has always been a huge part of my life, and I still remember how I always drew everything I saw when I was still in kindergarten. I can also recall the moment where I finally realized that I could make this a living. I was copying an image of Lightning from Final Fantasy when I realized that there must be someone who is drawing these characters. After doing some research, I learned that something like character designers existed, and that sparked something in me. That was 9.5 years ago, and thinking about my excitement that I felt back then still makes me so happy. Like most of the artists I know, I also started by drawing in an anime style, but I pretty quickly focused on realism and portraiture, and then after a while, I started to try to come up with my own stuff and learn the fundamentals, but I started to learn the wrong way. I used to work a lot with watercolor, and I would really love to use them more in my sketchbooks again, because I really love the way ballpoint pen and watercolor complement each other. I think it just looks amazing. With time, I also found things that I really love and that I like to work with in my own art. For example, I love masks. Oh my god. Yesterday, before I sketched this page, I stumbled across 2 cute little African masks that were handmade and sold by such a nice woman, and I just had to get them and put them on my wall. And I was so excited about this purchase that I had to draw one of the masks in the spread as well. And if you look closely later in the video, you will see one of the 2 masks on the bed frame that the girl is leaning on. Besides drawing, I am also going to university. As I mentioned in my sketchbook tour, I am not studying something art related. Instead, I'm studying media studies and also sociology. And both of these things are very interesting, but I initially decided to study these as a backup plan, and also because I wanted to be able to draw while going to classes and sitting in the classes. I also work as a waitress in a restaurant. I started working while going to school when I was around 15 years old, and to be honest, I think doing that really helped me to grow as a person. You get a better understanding of people and how to interact with them once you have to work with them. Also, working as a waitress taught me how to handle stress quite well, and both of these things are also very good for my art. The stress part is very self-explanatory, and understanding people really helps you with characters and coming up with ideas for them and understanding your characters better. And I also got to learn quite a lot about food, which is always a good thing. The pirate girl that I'm exploring in the spread also loves tea as much as I love tea. I probably drink tea way too much, but to be honest, it just tastes so good, so you can always find me with a cup of tea in my hand. She's also traveling with a crew that is like family to her, but she has to leave them behind very soon. And in the last sketch, you can see her trying to figure out a very specific location. You can also see a map on the floor because she wants to track down something very important. And I imagine her to be something like a treasure hunter. After she found a very powerful stone, she's trying to learn more about it. But I won't go into more detail with this for now because that is part of this world that I'm building. If you want to learn more about that, as I mentioned, follow me on Instagram and then you will see some more sketches. This world building project helped me to write again. I used to write my own stories when I was younger, and I even dreamed about publishing my own book, but at some point, I don't know why, but I just stopped writing. And I actually wanted to get back to that hobby for a while now, and I'm so happy to finally be able to write again and explore the words and characters that I come up with in a different way than drawing. And I think doing that always helps you to understand your world better. Another hobby of mine is actually dancing. I do that only for myself and in my own home, but ever since I was a child, I just loved dancing. I wanted to go to ballet classes when I was younger, but we couldn't afford those, so I just started to dance in my own room. And when I feel stressed or overwhelmed, dancing is like magic that helps me to turn off my brain for a while. Also, when I'm cleaning, I am dancing and jumping around the apartment, but only when I'm on my own, because otherwise I would be too embarrassed to do so. Some people need to go on a walk or ride their bike to calm down. I just need to turn on music and dance. I was also thinking about making that a huge part of the pirate character, but I then decided against it. I still wanted to give her another thing to channel her stress, and because I used to play the piano for 8 or 9 years and I really miss playing, I thought that would be cool to make this a part of her. I have this very clear image in my mind of her playing the piano in a tavern in the middle of the night, surrounded by a couple of wasted people. And I think it really suits the vibe that I have in mind for her, because she's supposed to be a badass character that had to fight her way through life, but also she's only human and has weak moments just like everyone else does. I also wanted to give her some of my weird quirks that only my closest friends and I know about, so I don't want to go into too much detail with this. At the end, I'm very excited to explore more of this world and the characters, and I'm also looking forward to putting those that I know in real life in that world, and I already based a couple of the characters on people I know, and it will be more. It was very weird for me to talk so much about me, and I don't even know who's interested in hearing all these random things about me, but I guess here you go. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye!